Tube. This is Gem Stitch here for my update. Thank you for everybody that's watching, hopefully. And this video is going to be mainly a lot of thank yous and a brief, very brief explanation as to why I haven't been around. So as you can see, my setting has changed. We did actually move. It's been quite a difficult transition for a number of reasons. We didn't have a lot of time, turnaround time, 10 days, to leave our old house and to come here. And we've had 2 floods, the electrics needed doing, and we've had some family upheavals and changes, and sadly my good friend and companion Mr. Darcy, our beloved cat, has also passed away during the 2.5 months that I haven't been recording Floss Tube. So to say that it's been a very difficult time for a number of reasons is an understatement, and my thank yous come in to lots of different people for lots of different reasons. Firstly, thank you to everyone that watches me, and for some of the people that have checked in just to make sure that everything's fine. I normally upload once a month, and obviously I haven't done that because of the circumstances, and I want to continue to try and do monthly updates. I really miss I miss you guys. In some cases I didn't even get to watch Floss Tube myself. So you know, it's just been one thing after another, and it's been quite difficult the last couple of months. But I don't want to harp on about that. We're okay. We've got our health and things, so we'll get through it. It's fine. You can see this is the study, or our office, which of course means it's going to be my craft room, which means that it looks like chaos at the moment, and that's exactly what it is. And there's a reluctance to find a permanent home for things because it's all got to be taken out when I repaint it. I'm sure Mika would absolutely love the blue, but blue is not for me, so this needs completely repainting. And I may actually have a picture to insert to show you what it looks like when it's not a complete nightmare. If I do, then I'll insert that here. But I may not. So yeah, I'll show you when it's finished. I did try and record this in beautiful daylight downstairs in the conservatory, but I haven't got any blinds up at the moment, and the sun is so hot. It's a nice bright sunny day, which is great for the projects, but it means that I really wrinkle up my face when I'm trying to talk to the camera, which is not attractive. So I've opted to do it in the study, which is north facing, which is nice and cool. It's really nice and cool right now. But it means that I don't have the benefit of good light all the time, so yeah, so that's why I'm here. Lighting's not important. So to try and get things in order, thank you to all the Floss Tube followers and Floss Tubers that have checked in on me to ask how I'm doing and is everything okay. Yes, it is. It'll be fine. We'll get there. It's absolutely fine. Thank you also to Debbie. I haven't emailed you back. You know who I'm talking to. I haven't emailed you back yet, and I do apologise for that. But I will be emailing you shortly. It has just been one thing after another, and at the moment I'm using all my reserves and any spare brain power just to try and chill out with a little bit of cross stitch. But I didn't stitch for about 8 weeks because of moving, painting. I didn't even have my parents were really good, and they took a lot of my finished art and cross stitch, and a lot of my cross stitch stuff I actually gave them to my parents to just get them out away from the house so that there would be no damage, or there's less likely to be damage, and they've all fared okay, which is great news. But for that reason it meant that I was very limited as to what even if I did get a chance to stitch, which, to be honest, considering some of the stuff that was going on, there wasn't much, but it limited me on, I didn't have my stuff around me or a selection to choose from. So it's all a little bit, whereas I'm normally quite organised and methodical, it's not like that at the moment. But it will slowly go that way. I'm happy with my routine and I will get back to it. I've also gone back to work temporarily. I've got a temping job, so that's eaten into my cross stitch time and also my ability to do these videos, which is obviously, I know I wanted to do one, I've been thinking about doing it, and just to give you an idea, as of Monday, it was like Monday I can do this, and it's Friday now, and this is literally the first opportunity I've been able to think that I might even have half an hour to an hour of uninterrupted discussion. So yeah, that just gives you an idea of the sort of stuff that's going on. But we all have busy lives and we all have stuff that's going on, so I'm okay. So thank you very much for asking. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to mainly talk about cross stitch now because that makes me happy. That's why I'm here, and I'm sure that's what you really want to know. So yeah, so onto the cross stitch. Being that it's 3 months and everything was higgledy-piggledy and all over the place, I will just mention I did go to the retreat at the end of April. It was touch and go whether I could even go at that point, where I would even make it. But for the help of my family and the lovely Sarah Marnie, I managed to get there. And the floss tube retreats, you know, you hear about them all the time in the UK and the US, and you know, and in Europe as well, about people meeting up and stitching and how much they love it, and being with, you know, like-minded people. And it really helped me. I needed that to just come away. Nothing was going to change in the 2 nights that I was away, but being away from the situation meant that I could just take time out. And so I thank my mum and dad for being able to make that happen, and also Sarah and the lovely people that attend the floss tube retreat in April. This is how far back it's going. So I'll talk about what I was stitching in April. I'd also like to say thank you to the ladies on my table who just filled that weekend with joy for me. And you know, they're cross stitchers generally are very lovely people and very understanding anyway, but they were just there to just be happy and smiley and talk about cross stitch, and they really did. They gave me more than they could possibly imagine. They gave me so much energy and just feeding off of their just love of cross stitch. It was just nice to be around something really positive. So sort of go around the table. You've got Michelle, thank you very much. Adele, who has just released a floss tube video, Smurfette Stitches. So please do check her out. She's a beautiful stitcher, as are all the people on this table. It's not like I'm just picking out, but do go and check her out. I'll put the information in the information box down below. So that's Adele. And Donna, Stitching Donna, lovely girl, love you Donna. Then you've got Claire, love Claire, so that's Crafty Creative Claire, fabulous. And then you've got Bo, lovely lady. And then you've got Kat as well. She was really, and I really liked some of the designs that she was stitching as well, particularly like the carrots. The carrots did it for me, I've got to admit. Kat, the carrots did it. And then Isla as well, which is buckle stitch. lovely, just really lovely group of ladies on that table that just, you know, you could feed off their energy, and they were a pleasure to be around. And so thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, truly thank you. So let's talk about the retreat. I took a limited, basically I took the projects that I actually had at hand, because at that point, sirens, at that point I actually had no cross stitching stuff at the house. My parents still had it, so I had a little bag full of just projects that I put in there, and it was just like, take that with you and work on stuff there type thing. So I'll talk about what I worked on at the retreat. I worked on the Susanna Hardyman sampler, which is a sampler that I was doing for my sampler Sunday. So on a Sunday, I'm trying to stitch a sampler, and I'm using the Antiques and Needlework Quarterly DVDs. It's the magazines that are loaded onto a DVD, and I've had them for a while, and I like a lot of the designs in there, and I just thought, you know, I'm overlooking them a lot, and so I thought, right, Sundays will be sampler Sundays, and I will pick a project, and there's no deadline, but I'll just work on it until it's finished, and I'll pick up another and then look for another sampler that I want to stitch. So this is from the 1992 volume 7, and this is a bad print of what it would look like. So that says the Susanna Hardyman, July 21st, 1847, aged 7 years. This I done, the world may see what care my parents took of me. So this was this is a replica sampler that the Antique and Needlework Quarterly changed. I did actually make some changes myself. The colours are this isn't a good printout, but the colours are very brown and autumnal colours. And although I wanted to sort of pay homage to the fact that, you know, close to the original sampler, I just thought for a 7-year-old that was a little bit drab. So I did change up some of the colours, and I will put any colour that I use, and I blended all the threads, mixing them with some hand dyes as well, which you'll see. I'll put all that information in the information box down below. In regards to the amount of floss that is being used, until a project's finished, you can never actually be sure. So I'll list it as to where I'm up to. But in regards to dye lot issues, if a project takes 2 or 3 threads, and you would rather get them all in one go to get the same dye lot, then the best thing to do is actually sadly wait until I've finished, because some of the threads I've had to top up, and it may even be 3 times. So, but this is where I am at the moment. So I'm at the bottom. So I was at the retreat. I was working mainly on this tree, or plant here, and you can see I've come down to the bottom and I'm working on here, and this is the house that's in the picture, and there'll be lots of satin stitch and things like that here. So this is on 32 count Belfast linen in the colourway Buttercream from Sparklies. And let me see if I can, just to give you an idea of colour. So you can see it's just an off, it's got ever so slight, it is the colour of butter. So but especially in the orange, you can see where I've actually blended a DMC and I believe it's Weeks Dye Works copper with the orange. And you can see that the variegation still does come through. So I quite like that look, and it just gives it a little bit more colour than maybe the picture suggested. Although notoriously, even in the magazines, the pictures don't do them justice. As you can see, that there was a border that went all the way round. I'm not stitching the border. I did, if you watch some of my previous videos, I did start to stitch the border. It was just too heavy for the piece, so I'm omitting the border on this piece. I like the effect of the checkerboard here. It looks very dark. It is charcoal, but it's actually mixed with a dark green, so in certain lights you can see the green flecks coming through, so this isn't actually black. So that's what I said, it's one of those pieces that just having that blended thread just gives it a little bit more interest as well. So that I've been working on, not every Sunday, but I worked on it during the retreat, and I worked on it obviously on Sundays, and I've worked on it on the bank holiday Monday as well, because I figured it's bank holiday, so I'll work on it. Sorry, got a shot there. So at the retreat, I worked on a Mill Hill piece as well, because they were small, so I took them with me, and I worked on a Mill Hill piece. But I'm actually going to include that in a different video, because I did do a loose attempt at mania. I didn't stitch every day. I basically picked up stitching as and when. I'm going to have to sort of redo, whereas I was doing, my plan of action was to do 12 small ornaments, start 12 small ornaments, and then try and finish an ornament a month to build up my ornament collection. Although I am still doing, they're all small pieces and they are all ornaments, I didn't do 12. I didn't get round to everything. It's just been, so I'll re-pick that up again, sort of type thing, mania properly next year. But I did a token gesture, so I'll show you that video. I'll do a different video for that, so that it's separate from this, otherwise this is going to be super long, and I'm not sure about uploading, lighting. It's all got to start again, guys, so I'm just going to try and keep this to exactly what I've been doing. So while I was there on our table, on my table of beautiful ladies, they mentioned about doing a stitch along, and it was for a Silver Creek sampler. And let me just find it. It was for Silver Creek samplers, who I hadn't up until this point actually stitched any Silver Creek samplers. I'd seen some of their work and I do like it. But yes, it's a Silver Creek sampler piece, and it's called Dorothy's Discovery. So it says, the power is there whenever you choose, it's found in the heart and not in your shoes. And ladies on that table, was anyone that wanted to participate, was like, oh, let's stitch this. So I actually purchased this from Peakside as well, and I've been using Peakside quite a lot. Their service is really, really good. So if you're in the UK, I would definitely go and check out Peakside Needleworks, Peakside Needleworks. I'll write it down below, because I find their service really good and very prompt. So definitely recommend using them. So I did actually pick this up from Peakside as well. Now I did convert, this actually does call for, just to let you know, this does call for some speciality or hand-dyed threads. There's 6 different hand-dyed threads. Now, for those of you that watch Off the Grid Needle Arts, and the lady introduced us to Caroline, yes, she introduced us to a friend of hers, a stitchy friend of hers called Patty, and we got to do a well, not we, but she showed us a lovely tour of her home, and it was Christmas time, and she had these lovely Christmas cushions that were mainly sort of Lizzie Kate's Country Cottage Needleworks, Little House Needleworks, and what she'd done is she'd stitched them on a higher count and turned them into sort of chair cushions. And I really, really liked that idea for some of these pieces, and instead of turning them into ornaments. So I've decided to do that with this, and what I've done, because it's a cushion, therefore I wanted to just use DMC, just in case I need to wash it. I shouldn't do now we no longer have too many hairy pets laying on things, or we don't have any anymore. but it's just knowing that you can. So obviously I'm not using a hand dyed fabric, I'm using a fabric that is like the colour from Zwaigart. I'm probably better off just showing you rather than rattling on. So this is 25 count, and what I am doing is stitching 3/2 on 25 count. So this is the equivalent, this piece of fabric, and you can see there's not too much overlay, there's just a tiny bit here. This is the equivalent of a and see the names that are escaping me, it's a 1/8. Yes, because it's not a fat quarter, it's not a quarter, it's, yeah, it's an 1/8. So it's half of a fat quarter, and that's the equivalent. And I think that although it's not a big square size, and obviously it's a rectangle, but if I decide to put a border around it when I turn it into a cushion, that's an acceptable size for a chair cushion, roughly. So for me, if they fit on an 1/8 or a quarter, then they're acceptable sizes for a cushion, depending on if they're more sort of landscape or portrait, that sort of thing. But anyway, so this is where I'm at the moment. I've been working on this an hour. Every time I pick up stitching, I work on this for an hour, and then I move on to my focus piece for the month. And yes, it's quite sparkly, I'm liking her shoes. So again, any changes that I've made in regards to thread colours and conversions, I will write down in the information box below. Again, some of the thread, because I'm using 3/2, you're using a lot more thread. So some of the skeins were full skeins, and I'm coming very close to the end. So whether or not you would actually need to buy more of one colour, I'm not sure until I actually finish the piece. But yeah, I will let you know as time goes on, but I'm quite pleased with how that's turning out. And like I said, I'm going to turn this into a cushion, so that's why I was quite happy to have it larger than rather than a small ornament. So that's Dorothy's Discovery, and the fabric is 25 count lugana, and it's a zwaigart fabric, and it's called Fairy Dust. It doesn't sparkle or anything. It's like an off creamy yellowy colour. So that's what I've been. Obviously I didn't work on that at the retreat, but that was born of the retreat. It come out of I started it. And normally I don't start new projects, you know what I'm like, and with everything going on, but yeah, there's just a moment where it's like everything's just gone everywhere, and everything's just completely gone crazy. So you know what, I'm just going to do what I want to do. But I do like to have a little bit of logic and more of a reason and a flow to how I stitch. So I've had my craziness, I think, who knows. I've had my craziness, and so then as things are settling down here, I'm slowly settling down as well. So Mania, as I said, talking about May. April I didn't stitch at all, other than the retreat, and that was at the very end. Then May was Mania, and like I said, that was picking up and starting a couple of small ornament pieces. I didn't even get to do 12, I don't believe. I did finish some of them though, because they were only really small. But that just went with the flow, which left us with now in June, and June is Wine and Whips. So that's basically work on a project that you really love to work on, but you don't get a lot of time to work on it, or work on a project that maybe, you know, you've fallen out of love with a little bit. You still like the project, but you're not inspired to necessarily do it. It's like, oh, we'll put a couple of stitches in, anything like that. And for me, my project for Wine and Whips is always going to be, well, or currently, whatever my oldest project is. so that way I can, you know, give it just that little bit of extra time. And for me now, my oldest project is actually Creation by Tempting Tangles. This is a beautiful piece. I don't have a problem working on it at all. It is a little bit confetti heavy in places, but the artwork looks so stunning. It's worth it all day long for me. I'm not a big fan of confetti, but I'm willing to do it because of the result being so lovely. So this is a design by Deborah Dick, and this is Creation. So that will be my focus piece for this month. Obviously this is what I'll be working on. I'm not going to have too much time to work on it, but that's my plan of action, is to work on this when I can and put some stitches in. This will actually also have an extra month, well, not an extra month, it will also be coming up again to be worked on as well. So this is such a long piece. This is what I've been working on, the sun, and it's beautiful. I just love her artwork, but it is quite a lot of confetti, but so worth it with the colours. So I'm slowly, I've only actually got, this pattern is split into 9 pieces, 9 sections, and I've got 3 left, 1, 2, 3. So I'm currently working on section 1, and I mean, it's just so lovely. Not bigging up my own work, I'm just saying it's just such a beautiful piece of stitching, like artwork. I absolutely adore it. So I would definitely recommend go and check out Tempting Tangles. The designer is Deborah Dick, and she does, some of her patterns are in some of the mainstream online stores. Of course, if you've got an LNS, then check it, but she has also got an Etsy shop, so definitely go and check out some of her designs. They're absolutely stunning, and I would definitely stitch another Tempting Tangles. It's just beautiful. I don't know whether I did actually finish the Wisteria Pixie. Let me just turn around. Sorry, nice bit of exposure there. Might have to edit that out. I did actually finish the Wisteria Pixie before we moved and before all hell broke loose. So this is what she looks like finished. Obviously she's not framed yet, not even got anywhere that far, but I'm really pleased with how she looks. And as you know, I try and do a Nora Corbett Pixie. I try and do one at least once a year. I'll never catch up, but you know, I think they are pretty. It feeds my girly Mirabilia style. So that's the Wisteria, and this fabric is absolutely stunning. This is a Sparklies fabric. It's 32 count Belfast linen, and it's in the colourway Leo, and that's just, I mean, look at the mottling. It's just, it actually looks like flowers in the background as well, and someone did actually comment that on my video. It does, it looks really lovely. I wanted it to replicate the brickwork, and in our old house it did. It actually replicated the colours here were very similar to the colour of the brick in our old house. So, but I'm pleased. I think she goes on that quite well, and it's, I know it's not necessarily you wouldn't think, oh, let's stitch her on yellows and browns and rust colours, but I actually think she works well on this. So she's very beady and very sparkly. So that's Wisteria, as she was finished. And briefly, because I didn't have, I think even in my last video I didn't have much more to do. And then I was left with no project. So it was a bit like, what do I do with myself? Again, before all hell broke loose. So I actually started what I was originally going to do. It was March mythology. And I was originally going to start a piece, but then I said, no, I'm just going to do the fairy. That fits with mythology. Just get her finished rather than start a new piece. But I finished her. So I thought, well, I might as well start this piece. And this is actually going to be the piece that I'm going to stitch next month as well, because it's July, and I think I believe the theme is Jeweled July. So this will actually fit, because eventually it will have krennic and it will also have beadings. So this is Aries by AAN. This is the first time I've stitched an AAN as well. Aries is my husband's star sign. And I'm going to stitch it in those gold colours. And the fabric, I think I spoke to you about it, but the fabric I'm going to stitch it on was Aries by Sparklies. Look at that. Oh, that's actually quite a good colour representation. Aries. It's just fabulous. So I think the gold on that would look really lovely. And like I said, I did start it, but not a lot. It's got no krennic in it or anything. That's just the normal stitching. It will roughly take up this fat quarter. But yeah, I'm really pleased. But all that stitching was done before I moved, so I'm just going to pick that back up for the Jeweled July and get that done. I was really tempted to just start another piece, but it's just going back to work and things like that stopped a lot of the I don't have that much time with lots of stuff that's been going on, so it's just easier for me to just get this done. So I'll pick that back up. So that will be my July focus piece. And obviously I will continue to work on Dorothy's Discovery until she's finished. I've had some ideas as to things to do and ways of working around things, but at the moment I'm not putting pressure on myself and not putting too many guidelines on there, because I have to just go with the flow at the moment with stuff that's going on. So I believe that is everything that I've stitched since I last spoke to you, except the little mania bits. Since I last spoke to you, and obviously my plan of action for next month, and I will be coming back next month to do another video. So thank you very much for all your support, and thank you very much for watching, and hello to any new subscribers. It's great to have you here. And also happy Father's Day to anybody, going on that note, to anybody that's celebrating Father's Day on Sunday. I'm hosting Father's Day this year, so we've got a few people coming over. And talking of fathers, I was sitting at the table discussing with the ladies at the retreat, and I was like, oh no, my dad's been saying to me, when are you going to upload a floss tube video? It's like, when I haven't got paint in my hair, and like I'm not pulling my hair out, you know, and this sort of thing. And he's going, and that's because my dad actually does watch my videos. So happy Father's Day, Dad, for Sunday. I'll be seeing you Sunday anyway, and thank you very much for always looking out for me. I really appreciate it. So this one's for you, Dad. See you later, guys. Bye.